Um, I I don't think he actually lost the election. I mean, to say that there were irregularities in that election is to be generous. The amount of rigging in that election uh, was beyond belief, and the violence and so on and so forth. But say he lost the election, uh, you know, is disputed at any rate. Um, as to why, well, I mean, look, it is very simple to go, yes, that these people were bad people and da 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 and so on and so forth. But I think, sometimes in the political debate in Nigeria, we tend to be, what's the word? Uh, we tend to be very, very ungentlemanly, for want of a better word, and we tend to give our opponents, we tend to paint our opponents as being evil people or so on and so forth. Frankly, the political split within Nigeria in those days was between, I guess, what you could roughly call conservatives and progressives. And I think that this is a split that still happens today. On the one hand, you have people who say that actually what we need to do and to progress as a state, and I'm talking about state level politics here, what we need to progress as a state is that we need to have good relations with the people in the center. So, in other words, be the president's boy, come from the same party. So, the party that has the same, if your state is ruled by the party that controls power in the center, then your state will get the dividends of democracy, and will get money from the center. And then the other side, there are people who think, well, actually, a state in a federal republic is its own entity and should be able to operate outside of the party of the people at the center, and that the state has some rights uh, to revenue that is generated. And my father belonged to that second position. My father clearly was someone who felt that the resources of the country should be primarily be put into education. His philosophy was that, look, if you can get uh, everybody in the country to read and write, then you have moved a step forward. Not We're not all going to be professors, but we are all. If everyone can read and write, then that is one step forward. And remember that one step at a time is how you walk and how you run. You don't run three steps at a time. You run one step at a time. Clearly, there are, the and this is a history. So this is not, because some of the people involved are still alive today, and let's not start throwing recriminations around. Um, so there was clearly some disagreements about, philosophically about how the state should be run and how the state should be positioned. Um, you know, as for why, you would have to speak to Dr. Ogbemudia, who was his opponent in the 1983 election, and ask why he ran on the ticket of the MPN. You would have to speak to Chief Aneni, who was the chairman of the MPN that organized the campaign against Dad, and you would have to ask him why. The other thing to say is that my father was a very stubborn man. If he thought that he was right about something, then he was very hard. If he thought he was right about something, then he thought he was right about something, frankly, and he would stick up for what he considered to be right. So whether he won the election or not, I think, if you look at the history of our state and you look at the elections, you can't say that he lost that election. But you must remember that 3 months after the election, while it was still disputed in a tribunal in court, the military took over power.